Imagine gliding to the window of the International Space Station late at night. Looking out the cupola, you don't see a map. You see a glowing sphere of brilliant blues and greens, suspended in a velvet black void. Astronauts who witness this firsthand often experience a sudden cognitive shift. From orbit, man-made divisions appear meaningless. The Earth is recognized as a single, unified system, a fragile whole rather than separate nations. This realization often leads to a profound epiphany. Several astronauts reported returning to the surface with an intense desire to make a difference, dedicating their careers to charity, philanthropy, and global advocacy. If this deep connection to the planet could be shared globally, it would provide the emotional foundation needed to build a consensus. By recognizing our shared survival on one small planet, the coordination required to end conflict and address the climate crisis starts to feel possible. But how do you describe that shift to someone who hasn't left the ground? Most space travelers offer the same one-word answer: indescribable. This lack of detail is the result of how we select our crews. Space agencies use a rigorous vetting process to find the most capable pilots and researchers in the country. These candidates have spent their lives mastering left-brain disciplines like mathematics and astrophysics. They spend years training for the engineering challenges of flight and the complexities of life support systems. However, this curriculum typically lacks any formal training in emotional translation or public communication. We spend billions of dollars to reach orbit, but we fill every seat with experts in science and engineering, people who are trained to be objective, not to communicate awe. Consequently, the mission record is filled with precise telemetry and flight data, but the most valuable psychological data of the trip is rarely captured. Space programs have included art in the past, but it has usually been treated as a secondary element. We have a history of treating human expression as cargo. We attach records filled with sounds and music to the side of deep space probes, hoping they might be intercepted by someone else. Some astronauts engage in creative pursuits while in orbit, though these activities are squeezed into the small amount of free time available between scientific experiments. Painting a quick watercolor in a crowded cabin is a start, but it isn't enough to transmit the full scale of the overview effect to the rest of humanity. Capturing a life-altering perspective shift requires a specialist who is trained to never be speechless in the face of awe. We can bridge this gap by establishing an official orbital artist residency as a standard part of space missions. While astronauts train for technical emergencies, an artist spends their life honing their powers of observation and emotional intelligence. Master artists are uniquely equipped for this task. Writers like Samantha Harvey can use language to make a reader feel weightless, bearing witness to the Earth's surface through the power of imagination alone. The artist's mission would be to witness the planet from a distance and create work that allows those of us on the ground to experience that same profound connection. An artist occupies that seat to execute a critical data translation mission, documenting the raw psychological impact of space that our current technical telemetry simply cannot record. Logistically, launching an artist could take years due to budget cuts and bureaucracy, but the need for a global shift in perspective is urgent. We can find inspiration in Buckminster Fuller's concept of Spaceship Earth. He viewed our planet as a tiny vessel in the cosmos, our only life support system. Under this framework, every person living on the surface is already a crew member on a ship hurtling through space. This realization allows you to live as a terranaut, someone who maintains astronaut awareness without ever leaving the planet. Living with this awareness reveals the invisible networks that sustain us. Your breakfast is the result of a global web of agriculture and labor, and the connection is mutual. Every action you take ripples back out to affect the entire system. By contemplating this interconnected nature of life, you can replicate the empathy of the overview effect right here on the surface. Until we can send our best storytellers to the stars, it is our duty to act as terranauts. We can generate the planetary awareness we need by recognizing our role on the crew today.